Clever back heel to Willian. Brazil score! Neymar! Well, it is adios Mexico, I'm afraid.
Hi everybody, welcome back to Talking El Tri. I'm Alex Loya, joined by Felipe Vieira and Luis Rodriguez. Hi guys.
Hey, what's up, Alex?
Sadly, Mexico's round of 16 curse continues after falling to Brazil, making this the 7th consecutive World Cup where El Tri has failed to advance to the quarterfinals.
No quinto partido.
Nope, we were so close.
Good thing I was just by myself in my living room watching it this time.
So no one saw you cry.
Nobody.
So let's take a closer look at this year's squad. Who were Mexico's best and worst players in the World Cup?
I think overall, nobody had start to finish a great tournament. Players had flashes. Chucky, obviously. I like Hector Herrera. Hopefully it pays off with a big transfer for him. Worst players, I don't want to be a Debbie Downer. Layun didn't have great games each time around. I don't know what you think, Felipe.
Yeah, I would agree. I think Chucky, I would say he was the most consistent of Mexico's players. I would say my worst player was Rafa Marquez. You know, we saw in that Brazil game, he started. I don't know what Osorio was thinking, even though I love Rafa. Brazil just has so many quick attackers.
So obviously a lot of Mexicans praise Memo, but do you see him coming back next World Cup?
I wonder about that too. He's already in his 30s. I think it would depend. If we have a rising star that can outperform Memo, I don't think so. You know, Memo has had great World Cups in Mexico, and I think he was a standout in this specific World Cup.
The goalie position is different from a field player. Gigi Buffon almost played in this year's World Cup, high up there in his age. So it's not out of the question that Memo Ochoa could be in Qatar in 2022. There's sadly not a lot of goalies showing tons of promise right now. Young guys like Raul Gudiño, if they get a chance at Chivas, or Lahoud keeps having decent seasons at Tijuana. But Memo is the guy right now with not much pressure coming up behind him.
So no doubt, Chucky Lozano did really well, but do you think he did enough this tournament to warrant a transfer to a big club, or will he stay one more season at PSV?
In my opinion, I think he did enough. He showed that he is a difference maker, a very dynamic player, and I think the big clubs have taken notice. They probably noticed beforehand because he did have a good season his first year at PSV.
Chucky definitely shined more so than other youngsters. Gabriel Jesus didn't even score. You know, he had a terrible tournament. Mbappe is having a great tournament. But I would definitely put Chucky up there for a big transfer. We'll see.
Where would you like to see him?
I'd like to see him at either Manchester United or Barcelona is fine with me. But mostly I want to see him. Mostly I want to see him where he's going to get a chance to show what he's got. Barcelona possesses the ball a lot. They kind of lull teams to sleep, and an active guy like Chucky could find the back of the net a few times.
So this may be an obvious question, but does Juan Carlos Osorio keep his job after another round of 16 defeat, or is it time for a new manager?
I would say he should stay on the job. And the reason why I hesitate is because in the Brazil game, he should have never started Rafa Marquez. By the time he subbed Layun in, most of the players, midfield players, were tired because Rafa Marquez wasn't as running around as much. What do you think? It's a hard one.
No, honestly, I think the real question is, does Juan Carlos Osorio want to stay? Because I think just with not just the fact that they beat Germany, but the way they beat them said a lot about him as a tactician, and people took notice. But I think all along, Juan Carlos Osorio might have seen this job kind of as a stepping stone. I've read multiple times that he's strongly interested in more so being a club coach in Europe.
So if you two were the managers, what would you have done differently if you were going into this Brazil game?
I've already mentioned this. I would have kept Marquez on the bench and would have put in Layun. I think for Brazil, I also would have maybe not have had Chicharito on the field. I probably would have looked for, tried something different attacking-wise.
Well, if I was the manager, one thing I would have definitely done different is probably not started Rafa Marquez, but for different reasons. Mostly because the first 30 or so minutes of the game, Mexico was in control of that game. And it's because they did go in with the right game plan, which was kind of overload the midfield, and Casemiro was overwhelmed for the Brazilian side. And Marquez, he wasn't the right guy to help propel the counterattacks. They needed somebody with a little bit more speed and a little more endurance. I would have said somebody like Jonathan Dos Santos.
So looking ahead, what's next for El Tri in upcoming competitions, and how do they avoid another disappointment preparing for 2022 qualifiers?
I think first things first is they got to start looking towards the future. They got to give young players opportunities. We're talking about the Rodolfo Pizarro. There's a small base there already, obviously Chucky, Salcedo, guys like Gallardo, but not enough because by 2022, I think from the current roster, about only 6 will be under 30 years old. Before the World Cup, there was a Toulon Futures Tournament where Mexico played a good role, and they finished runners-up to a really good England side that just won U20 championship recently. So the cupboard's not bare, but they need opportunities.
Yeah, I would agree. I think for me, we need consistency with the coach. We also need more, I would say more Mexican players abroad to have more opportunities, get more minutes, and build that consistency with their club teams. And we need to figure out our Achilles heel, like you mentioned, being able to break down defensive teams, because we do such a great job of keeping up with teams that want to play.
Haven't figured out how to unlock those really disciplined defenses. And it showed in the last Gold Cup when they lost to Jamaica. It showed against the Sweden team. So they have their work cut out for them for sure.
That's all we have for you this time. Thank you for joining us as we talked to El Tri and the heartbreak that this World Cup brought us. Enjoy the rest of the matches. We'll see you next time.
We'll see you guys. Subscribe, share it, comment that you want to see more Talking El Tri.
Yes.
Bye, everyone.
See ya.